Hi, Wildling. Hey, I'm still looking for some more interesting guests on European herbalism and foraging. So if you know anybody that would want to be a guest in my podcast series, please feel free to reach out and contact me through social media, Wild Plant Forager, or through my website, wildplantforager.com. Thank you so much. Welcome to Wild, the podcast for wildlings just like you. Wildlings who want to transform the prevalent plant blindness to collective plant wisdom. My name is Lieve Galle. I've been working as a herbalist and wild plant forager in Belgium since 2002. In those years, I've seen a lot of changes. Working with plants has become more popular, but I've also seen time is running out for our planet. As foragers and herbalists in Europe, sometimes we're dealing with different plant species and different cultural approaches towards plants. In some countries, working with plants is licensed, and in others, it's almost illegal. I believe that together we can learn from one another and be stronger. There is nothing more empowering than connecting wild souls. Together, we can have a greater impact on restoring the ancient link between people and plants. And that's why, for this podcast series, I'm talking to fellow herbalists and foragers in Europe. So if you're ready to find out what you've never been told, but what your soul already knows, welcome to Wild. Welcome, Wildy, to a new episode of this podcast. And today I'm very honored to talk with Henriette Kress. She's a very experienced herbalist from Finland, and her website is like a landmark in the field of herbalism since 1995. She's the author of several herbal books that have been translated in Swedish and in English. Welcome, Henriette. I'm really honored that you're in my podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So on your website, I have been reading, and by the way, I love how it says, welcome to the bark site. I read that your first contact with herbs was when your grandmother took you out in the woods and showed you when you crush the yellow St. John's wort flowers that it gives a red color. And so it says that, yes, I have been doing herbs ever since. It's been herbs ever since. And that made me wonder, how did the rest of the world react to that, to you being a child or a young adult that was totally into herbs? Like, did they think you were some kind of weirdo or a witchy person, or was it considered quite all right?
It was totally normal. We were out in the countryside, and some people went out to do sports, and some people just gamed or whatever, read or whatever. And I went into the fields and meadows with my botanic books to see what plant this is and which plant is that. And then I picked some and tasted some, and it was totally all right.
Nice. So everybody was just cool about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was part of what I do. And then when I got older and there was no real classes for herbalism when I had to choose a profession, so I went with mercantile things, and then I went to the Helsinki School of Economics, and then I was in business for a while, and it got so boring. And then I said to people that I'm going to study to be a herbalist. They said, that's just humbug. You can't do that. It's nonsense. You have a career. You should continue with that.
But nevertheless, you made your own decision to pursue the herbalism.
Yes, yes. The interesting thing is, I told my grandma before I left my job that I would be going to study herbalism, and she said, "No, no, you don't do that. You have a steady income. You can't just jump
Oh,
into nothing."
really?
And then after I had quit my job and went to Arizona to the herb school, she said, "Oh, congratulations! Do what you love. Do follow your dreams." I mean, the idea being that you can't change it anyway, so why not embrace it?
Mm-hmm. So you went all the way to Arizona to herb
Yes, yes,
school?
yes, yes. It was Michael Moore's Southwest School of Botanical Medicine, and I had been on the internet before then, and I had a lot of herbalist friends. And then I said, "Yeah, I'm going to study with Michael Moore." And some people reacted with, "Oh, I'm so jealous. I want to." Yeah, when you're an established herbalist, it's a bit difficult to try to enroll in somebody else's school. It's not the done thing, but yeah, it was a great class.
Wow. Okay. So how did you do it practically? You really went physically to Arizona for a while, or?
Oh yes, oh yes. I mean, I was in business. I was a finance manager, and because I knew that I would leave sooner or later, I had saved quite a bit of money.
Right.
Yeah, it paid well. So then I booked a plane and found a place to stay and found out how to get from, I think it was San Francisco to Tucson to Bisbee. It was interesting, and it was so nice. Everything just worked and everything just fell into place, and
Mm-hmm.
it was great.
Nice.
And it's a nice place, Arizona.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I've seen
The
the
the plant,
pictures. Yeah.
yeah, the plants are great.
Okay. And are the plants like totally different from the plants that we have in Europe, or?
About 20% are exactly the same, about 20% are totally different, and the remaining plants you have approximations here.
So I was wondering, like today, when you live in Finland and you want to become a herbalist, is there like a herbalism school now in Finland? How is it like a formal education, or how do you become a herbalist in Finland nowadays?
We are quite lucky in that you can just call yourself a herbalist. But to be on the safe side, you have to do some schooling. You have to go do a test about basic physiology, basic
Hmm.
medicine, so that you know when you have to tell people to go to the doctor. And there has been a school for herbalism in Finland for, I think, 10 years, 20 years. Mm, it was a long weekend, once a month thing that went on for 2 years,
Hmm.
and they stopped doing it last year. And there is another similar one now that is also a long weekend for 2 years, which one of the students of that school does. Um, I went to when I was deciding where to study herbalism, I went to their beginners, and it was a week-long thing, and I kept thinking, okay, so tell me something new. So I knew that wasn't the school for me, so that's why I went to America. I was also considering England, the UK,
Hmm.
but they were so expensive, and the Southwest School was very affordable. And somebody asked Michael Moore of the Southwest School why he didn't take more for his education, and he said he doesn't want a lot of BMW in his parking lot. Yeah, I think that's the right approach. You don't want rich people; you want normal people to
Hmm.
have a
Hmm.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So I really haven't got a very big clue about what plants grow exactly up in Finland. So, what are some specific herbs that are particularly significant in Finnish herbalism?
It's nettles, of course, and then we have the rose bay willow herb all over the
Hmm.
place. We have Angelica growing wild, and then garden grown is elecampane, for instance, and all the mallows. Mallows are not wild here, so you
So you
have to
have to
grow
grow
them.
them in your garden. Okay.
Yeah, and dandelion we have a lot, and yarrow, and yeah, all kinds of things.
Okay. That seems pretty familiar when I hear it. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We also have a lot of blueberries, bilberries, lingonberries, and then we have Iceland moss. And
Oh, really? Yes.
yeah, I used to pick it and I used to try to use it, but it tastes so bad, so I switched to other things.
It does have a very specific flavor.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes. And what do you use it for?
Cuffs. But yeah, I like other things for cuffs nowadays. So it has the lichen acids, which make it antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory. But I mean, if I can choose between using thyme
Hmm.
and sage and hyssop or Iceland moss, I think I take the other three.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay. So, and in Finland, do you still have like some specific traditions with plants? Like maybe they are used in a symbolic way on certain like anchor points in the years. So like I don't know, for Christmas or midwinter festivities or I don't know. Um,
For midsummer, at least along the coast, they raise the midsummer pole, which is long thing that's wrapped in birch. And before midsummer, they also do a lot of what's it called, lily of the valley wreaths,
right.
because they're at that time, and they have such a nice scent.
What do you do with lily of the valley? You hang them on the
Decorate,
door or
yeah, decorate things with it.
okay.
Yeah, it's nice.
In
And
Belgium, we
then
have this tradition with Lily of the Valley that we give it to each other on the 1st of May. So on May
okay,
Day, it's like a good luck charm. But it has been dying out because of all the bad reputation about being it really toxic and dogs dying from drinking the water that was in the vase of Lily of the Valley. So yeah, people are becoming very cautious. Mostly in the south part of Belgium, people still do it, but like in the northern part where I live, it's becoming quite rare.
we have some other traditions. Of course, for Christmas we have the Christmas tree. For Easter, there's these Easter willow twigs that are decorated with feathers and eggs and things.
Okay.
And then you go from house as a small child, from house to house dressed up as a witch, and you say this um, loitsu, this witch's rhyme, and then you get candy.
Oh, okay.
So it's
Okay.
very
That's on
popular.
Easter. Okay.
Yes,
Nice.
that's
Yeah.
Easter.
Yeah. So, what kind of herbal preparations are used in Finland a lot? Like, do people mainly are they mainly familiar with like tinctures or herbal teas or other things, or are there like some specific? I know that previously when I was interviewing Mari from Norway, she was mentioning that in the past people used like herbal porridges a lot. So I was wondering if there was anything typically Finnish, like a herbal preparation, and also how like what herbal preparations are used most in Finland.
It's mostly teas, and in the shops you find both teas and tinctures. But uh, yeah, people use essentially only the echinacea tincture, and everything else is used as teas.
Ah.
I think it's very good because if you make a tea for yourself and then drink it, you are involved in your own healing.
Yes, and I also always have to think about Rosemary Gladstar saying that if you don't have the time to sit down and brew yourself a cup of tea, then this is something in your life you should be looking at, right? Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
yes. In America, they mostly do tinctures, or at least they did when I was there, and I was so confused. Nobody knew what tea, even how to make tea. It was okay.
Yeah, that's really interesting how different it is in different areas of the world, I think. Like I remember in France, they tend to use a lot of syrups made from herbs. So it's quite different in different areas of the world. Yeah. So how hard or how easy is it when you are looking for high quality herbs, like dried herbs in Finland? Where can you get them, and yeah, what is their quality generally?
Some I pick myself, and then I buy a lot from Germany, and that is very good quality. And sometimes I need herbs when I have run out of something in particular. Then I can ask my friends in Finland. I have quite a lot of people who have been to my lectures, and some of them contact me after, and we chat, and yeah, and some of them tell me that they have this and this herb in abundance, and then I might remember it later on, and when I need it, I call and ask how much and when, and then they send me really good quality herbs. I like it.
That's a really good system that you have there. Yes.
Mm.
And so like if people generally they want to buy dried herbs to brew themselves a tea, where do they go to? Do they go to the pharmacist or to a health food store, or
The most common ones are available in the normal shops, and then the the more interesting ones are in health food stores. So it's not not too difficult to find dried herbs. But I mean, I talk about a kilo or two. Then that's not
right?
available.
That's different. Yes. So when
Yeah.
you say the most common herbs are available just in the shops, does that like include nettle? Can you buy
Yes.
dried nettle like even in supermarkets?
Yes. Yes. And chamomile
Wow.
and things. Yes. Yes.
Wow. Okay. That is cool. That's
Yeah.
very cool.
Yes.
Yes.
And sage and yeah. But I mean,
Hmm.
I tell people to go to the spice rack for sage and thyme. They are available in 1 liter things,
Yes.
Tetra Pak, much cheaper than to go to the
Okay.
uh, health food part of the store.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Mm.
And yeah. Wow. So this is what I'm wondering if nettles is available in the supermarket as a dried herb. Do people in general still consider it like a nuisance or a weed, or do they, is like the general audience in Finland, do they see it as a healing herb or more like a weed that they need to get rid of, or both, or
There's so many people who go and pick nettles in spring and in summer, and nowadays also quite a lot who pick nettle seed in fall. And then there's all these people who want a pristine lawn with nothing at all growing except grass. So those people, of course, still look at nettle at, oh, there's a nettle. But mostly, I think, when I picked nettle seed near an old castle a couple of years ago, I had this big pillowcase because you can fit a lot of nettle in a
yes,
pillowcase.
it's very handy, a pillowcase.
And then I then I put another pillowcase on top, but they still saw me walking away with all that nettle, and instead of saying, "Oh, you can't do that," say, "Oh, nettle, yeah, my granny used to do that too."
Wow, I like
Yeah,
that.
very healthy. I said
Yeah.
yes. It was a lot of nettle. It was nettle seed, so much. But yeah, I think that reaction was quite nice. I
Okay.
was a bit concerned. Are they going to tell me you can't do that?
Yeah, I can see in Belgium that the interest in you know being able to identify the wild plants and knowing what you can do with them is definitely growing, but still so many people just want this. Well, it's like a green desert, if you just want to have a lawn with only grass and yeah. But the transition is going on, but we still have quite some work to do, I think. Yeah.
My front garden includes nettles and dandelions, and one of the neighbors used to say that looks so unkempt, you should do something about it. But not anymore.
Right. That's a positive evolution. Or maybe they just gave up, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how is herbal medicine and herbal practice evolving in Finland? Like, do you see some kind of influences from other parts of the world?
Yes, probably there are quite a few. We do have homegrown ones, and it has gotten quite a bit more acceptable to do herbs. And yes, and I see the outside influences too. Mm, like people tell me that that they tried the Stephen Bunner protocol for their Lyme. I mean, yeah, I think it's theoretical and too expensive, but to each their own.
And do you also have the popularity of the ginger shots in Finland and the
Yes, you
ginger
can buy them
turmeric
in
shots?
not ginger turmeric, but ginger shots are available in every shop. I
Yeah,
think,
yeah. Same here, same here.
yeah. And why not? I mean, it's a
Yeah,
nice
yeah, of
thing.
course. Yeah. There's not such a big problem with that, but just yeah, it makes me think about how yeah, and sometimes I think that because these gender shots, they have gained such popularity over social media also, and like also the whole, which I think is a bit overhyped. I mean, okay, just to state this clear, I love working with essential oils myself. I don't use them a lot, but like just past weekend, one of my adopted chickens was sneezing really badly and there was no specialized vet available. So I just evaporated some essential oils. We put her separately in our garden shed. And 2 days later, she's totally fine. She's regained health and she's really I was a bit astonished at how fast she was recovering, really. Um, but then I see on social media, I see these people making their own laundry detergent, which is of course okay, but they put in like 25 drops of lavender essential oil for each load of laundry. Now,
Oh, that's a bit much.
that's like a whole lavender plant, the yield of a whole lavender plant with every load of laundry. I mean, that's not sustainable. You do several loads of laundry every week. How are we going to grow so much lavender? It's a bit crazy to me. And people just think, oh, it's natural, so but yeah, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, it's a bit much. Yeah, over the top. The tea tree oil craze also was over the top, but it has happily now gone down a bit. And there also was this craze about oil of oregano. Oregano.
Right. Yeah.
And I read up a bit on that, and it was anything that resembled the scent of oregano. So there were thymes and marjorams and whatever in there.
Hmm.
Cheap things, but they do upset your digestion. So I hope it has calmed down now, that craze.
Yes, I always find it very strange to see that the herbal world also has these hypes and these trends and these, yeah, it's a bit strange, right?
And then you look back and you see, oh, I jumped on that bandwagon. I better jump off.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And maybe you don't jump on the next bandwagon, but then
Hmm.
3 bandwagons later, you're on it again. It's like, oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Sometimes you just have to say, hey, but like, wait, okay, so this is very trendy and so, but maybe I have to look into it first. Yeah. So I see people using lots of ginger shots, and then um, I tell them like, hey, if you go to the dentist and you have to have a tooth pulled out, it might be better just to stop it a few days before you have the tooth pulled out because it thins the blood. And they're looking at me like, oh, really? It thins the blood? I'm like, yeah, if you take like a shot every day, it's yeah, and they just don't realize it. So it's good to be aware of that. So when it comes to practicing herbalism in Finland, what is like the legal framework? You said a little bit before that you can just call yourself a herbalist, but like if you want to practice herbalism, what are the things you can do and what you cannot do?
We have a list of herbs on the pharmacy only. Uh, uh, yeah, it's a pharmacy only list, and we are not allowed to use those unless we are a pharmaceutical factory who has gotten permission from the medical authorities. Costs quite a bit of money, so we just don't use them. And you have to do the basic medical information course so that you know when to refer people away out. And I think the most important thing when you see clients as a herbalist is do no harm. So we really don't need any headlines that say that herbalist so and so has caused so and so ills in a person. So yeah, but in legally there's no obstacles.
Okay, so you're allowed to have a practice and to see clients and to do consultations.
Yes,
Right.
and if you want to do tinctures and give them to clients, then you have to have an alcohol license.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So
And everybody in Finland knows that you are not allowed to sell alcohol without a license. So that's a given.
yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wow, I'm just thinking about the facts, the fact that you can do consultations and see clients, because in Belgium that's like not really allowed. That's yeah, as a herbalist, so you can give like a herbal walk and tell people about how they can use specific kind of herbs, but you cannot really see clients and yeah, like if they have some problems and give them some advice on herbs that they could use. So yeah, and it really it surprises me a little bit how in Europe we have all these different regulations. And also like I what I've noticed with the people that I've talked with so far is that every country has like a list of forbidden herbs, and then a list of herbs that can be used by herbalists. Um, and these lists are also in every country very, very different. And like in Belgium, there is now some whispering around that sage might be the next on our list. Yeah, but the thing is, I've really looked into the paperwork and the research about this, and the thing is, so it's because of the high thuone compound, but what they test is the essential oil of sage. And those are
Yeah,
two completely different things. Like, would I use sage herb in my food or in my drinks? Yes. Would I use it medicinally? Yes, of course. And of course, not to nursing mothers or people with a high blood pressure. But would I ingest essential oil of sage? No, I wouldn't. So
yeah.
it's just two completely different things, and they don't differentiate between these two. And that's just a pity.
Next day will be coming after cinnamon cassia then, because yeah,
Yeah.
they tried to uh, prohibit its use in Finland and got laughed out of the room because we have these cinnamon buns. Like, don't take it away. You can't.
Yeah, it's like a signature thing. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. And we need to speak about the elephant in the room here, but I do not understand why tobacco is not on that list, because we have like overwhelming scientific evidence that, well, it's harmful. But it's not on this list, which I think is really fascinating and makes me think about, yeah, why it's not on the list. Well, probably because, yes, they can have taxes on it. It's clear. But it makes me think about, is it really the well-being of the people that you're after, or what is it with these herbs that you put on the forbidden list?
We have this other list in addition to the medicinal herbs that are forbidden, and that's the drugs. And that includes then opium, poppy, and cannabis,
Mhm,
and I think tobacco is on there too, cocaine, and all of those. So that those are excluded as a matter of course. You can
okay.
use other poppies, of course, and I do love uh, poppy flower syrup for
Yes.
irritable coughs. It's quite nice.
Yeah. So in our lists, I just looked it up before our talk just to make sure that I had it right. But like a plant like ground ivy is on the same list as lily of the valley and other very
You could,
toxic plants. Yes, which I cannot understand. I'm sorry, but I cannot understand. And I have to say, I do use it. I eat it. I drink
yeah,
it. I love the flavor. Um,
yeah,
and I don't
but
understand why it's on the list. Yes, the
yeah, I don't.
polygon, yes, of course, but you won't eat too much of it because it's an aromatic, but it's also a bitter plant. So,
Yeah,
the flavor will stop you from eating too much of it.
but on our list we have pumpkin seed because it has been used as a dewormer. So
Yeah,
you can't use
okay.
it medicinally, but if you go to the shops, you can buy pumpkin seeds by the kilo
That's a
for
crazy
food.
situation. Yes,
Yeah.
that's crazy. Yeah. Also, if you're gathering plants in the wild, like you do sometimes, do you see like an impact of environmental pressure or climate change on the native plants of Finland? Do you see that changing?
Yes, the spruces are slowly going because we have this beetle that goes under the bark and
Yeah.
kills them. And we have a lot more oaks now coming up than they didn't used to survive 30, 40 years ago, but now they're just growing. And we have some other plants that didn't used to survive that now are coming. But I mean, um, those are the big ones that you see. And of course, we have a lot more ticks now, with which can give you because Lyme's disease, because they survive the winter better, and we have a longer uh, season without freezing cold,
Hmm.
so they
Hmm.
can get in another generation within 1 year. And that really puts a crimp into the picking plants in the wild thing, because you always have to check for ticks.
Yes.
I don't like it.
And because what I notice also is how, um, so I like to write down what plants or what plant part I gathered when. And I can see that. So sometimes my students ask me, oh, and when is the time to gather this plant part or this plant part? And I say, well, I used to say like in at the end of March, but now it could also be like the end of April even, or the beginning of May. So I see that like the seasons are fluctuating, and sometimes there are like extremely wet springs or extremely dry summers, and everything just changes. And I even have like a Dutch colleague, and she has made a wonderful calendar. So she's a drawer, so she made a wonderful harvesting calendar when you can pick what wild plants. And she says, I'm not selling these anymore because I just can't pinpoint it anymore. It's so much fluctuating, and every year it's different. And yeah.
Yeah. This year we were about 2 weeks, 3 weeks early on almost anything, but it depends on the year. Normally, the mass flowering of dandelion is between end of May and beginning of June, but this year it was early to really early May.
Yeah.
It's not so nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Dandelion was early here too, but a lot of things were later also in the year, which was
Okay.
kind of weird. But yeah. Yeah. I just think we had a lot of rain, and so like this year, what happened like with the elderflowers, there was just so much rain. You know, if it's like elderflower season and it's very warm, then the amount of time, you know, the time span in which they flower is just very short. It's like
Yeah.
poof, this burst of elderflower. And now,
Yeah.
because of all the rain, they flowered for nearly a month. You know, they were just spurting between, you know, all the the rain showers, and they think, okay, now it's a bit of sun, we can open a few more flowers. And yeah, it was completely different. But it was nice because you could harvest, you know, a little bit then and a little bit then. It just was a completely different way of harvesting, because usually it's like, oh, elder is flowering. Okay, we have to harvest now and we cannot wait before it's over. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I really like your Facebook group that you have started, the Herbal Medicine group.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really, really like it. I was wondering why you started this group. Um,
Because I have there was a group of medical herbalism, and it was very good. And then they moved to some other format. I don't know why, and deleted the old group when they did. And it was a few years, and I thought, well, I have made a group in Finnish for medical herbs, and it has 30,000. It's 5 years
wow.
old. Yeah, I know. So 5 years old. It's like, okay. And I have made one in Swedish, and then I thought, well, I could make one in English as well. And it it is really good. I looked at a couple of other groups, and one had 30,000 subscribers, and the introduction said absolutely no medical advice allowed here. So why do you have a medicinal herb group? I just wonder.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, why is that totally prohibited? Yeah, no, but yeah, I think it will be a very good group, and I intend to keep it that way. So
Hmm.
if we get too many people who ask, "Is that yarrow?" then they will get kicked.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I really appreciate that you have made this group, and I really enjoy it. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you have written some books like Practical Herbalism 1 and Practical Herbalism 2, which, you know, was originally, I think, in Finnish and then translated to Swedish and to English. Um, who did you wrote it for? Like, what can readers expect when they open the book? Um,
I wrote it for people who want to go out and pick plants and use them. And about half of the plants in each book is in the wild, and about half is grown. And it works out like this: the English version is the half that is garden grown, and the half that is found in the wild in the USA is are different, but it's still half and half.
nice.
I think yes, it's interesting. But yeah, the idea is you grow some and you pick some, and here's detailed instructions on how you do it. And because I have been teaching since 1986, I think, not quite sure.
Wow.
Uh, I know all the mistakes, and I have done all the mistakes, and I have had the same teaching uh, paper for decades. And every time somebody tells me, "Oh, that's wrong," I say, "Oh, thank you very much," and then I correct it. So it's been evolving. And the books are based partly on that, what I have used for my lectures. So
Okay.
it's all tested and true, and everything works, which is quite nice.
Yes, I think that is one of the aspects that I also like myself. I always tell my students, hey, these are the mistakes I made. You don't have to make them. You can
Yeah.
learn from my mistakes, and of course you will make mistakes. It's part of the process, but these mistakes you don't have to make because I can tell you in advance that it won't work or it's, yeah. So that's nice about being, having some years of experience and being able to share from that rather than just what theoretically from books or from your education. Yes. Yeah.
And then people tell me, oh, but I tried that and it worked when you did it like this. And I say, oh, wow, thank you. And then I tried. It's interesting. You get feedback and you try and you learn all the time.
Yes, it's like a growing, organically growing thing, it keeps evolving, and that's really nice about it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because also what you have nowadays is these books on herbalism written by artificial intelligence, which is rather
Yeah.
worrying, I think.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
There is,
Yeah.
they just troll the internet and slap something together, and that's it. A flashy title and a name with a PhD or something behind it, and people buy it. It's like, oh, no, don't.
Yes. So buy
Yeah.
your books from a really good herbalist. Yes. That you
Or even,
know and that you know is a real person and that has experience. Yes.
yeah, or even somebody who even has tried the herbs.
Hmm.
Doesn't have
Hmm.
to be a herbalist, but they have to have tried the herbs.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And it's, that is a thing. These books are just like mixtures made of what is found on the World Wide Web, but there is so much quatch on the World Wide Web and so much trash and so much wrong things, and especially when it comes to herbs. So you really want to be cautious when using that as a source of knowledge. It's just
Yeah.
not, yes. And it does not say written by AI. So yeah.
Yeah. Because if it did, nobody would buy it. And these people live off two or three people buying a print on demand book, and then they slap another title on it and sell it again. It's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible. Yeah. And I think it's really hard to put a stop to that. There's not really so much you can do it except informing the people that these books are not okay to use and encouraging them to buy better books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there should be laws about it.
Yeah, there should
I
be.
expect I expect the EU will protect us on this as well.
I
They
hope.
do they
I
do so
very
well on
much
a lot
hope
of
so.
things.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah. Yeah, I would like that they would really step in and say, "Hey, we're not going to allow that." Yes. Yes. And for those who want to know more about it, I want to refer to a really good blog post of Chestnut's School of Herbal Medicine that they wrote about books on herbalism written by AI, and it's really, yeah, it's really enlightening to read, I think. Um yeah, so you also have like a herbal medicine distance course, right?
Oh yes. Yes.
And it's also in Finnish and Swedish and English.
Yes, yes, yes.
Wow,
I
how do you manage that?
I started a lady from Lapland called me in 2010 about, and started to ask all kinds of questions about herbs and problems and things like that. And I answered, and then I asked her. We had talked for an hour perhaps. And then I asked her, "Did you actually want advice on herbs, or do you want to become a herbalist?" And she was quiet, and she said, "Both, I guess." I said, "Okay, I'll send you some materials." And then I slapped something together and emailed it to her. And she came back 2 weeks, 3 weeks later and said, "Okay, so how much do I owe you?" I said, "What?" And then I thought, yeah, well, she's up in Lapland. She can't come to Helsinki, at least not all that often. I expect there are other people in Finland who have the same problem. So then I put together a herbal distance course. And I wrote it. I mean, it's one part every 3 months. So I wrote one part every 3 months and sent it off to the people who had signed up for it. And then after a while, I thought, well, yeah, there's Swedish speaking people in Finland too. I think I should make it for them as well. And then I translated it. And now I'm translating it to English. I'm on part 4. I didn't before because there are so many courses in English, but I think this one also has a place. It's
Yes,
very
and I think that's the great thing, just the diversity in the field of herbalism. And I think, yeah, everybody has their own approach and their own experience and their own and yeah, you can learn different things from different people. So yeah, I definitely think it has a place. Totally. Yes, yes. So what are the kind of people that follow your course?
there's 3 different types. Ones are they are already therapists, they're massage therapist or shiatsu or something like that, and want something else, and they will start using herbs in their practice. Some want to learn the basics about herbalism and maybe start to practice. It takes really a lot of courage to start to practice, though. And then the last third or so are people who want to use herbs to help their family and friends. And Christopher Hedley said that if you do a herb course, if you attend a herb school, you should, the minute you learn things about herbs for cough, you should stop everybody who coughs and tell them use this herb and use that herb and here's my number and tell me did it work or not. And I think that's a nice approach. I mean, you use it immediately, which gives you courage to use it more.
Right. I think that's interesting because when I was teaching in herbalist school, I was actually saying to my students, because I see a lot of students that they graduate and then they become, or even during their education, they're becoming discouraged because they say, I want to share my knowledge with a lot of people. And a lot of people look at me and say, hey, I didn't ask for your advice. So I tell them
Oh,
actually never to give unwanted advice. And I also, this is how I communicate it to my friends and family. I say, okay, if you have a cough or a sprained ankle or whatever, and you want to have some herbal advice, I'm always available for you, but I will not just, unsolicited give you advice because I don't know if you're asking for it. So I think it's a really interesting approach to just instead stop everybody you see coughing and tell them what they can use.
yeah. And then uh, I've been doing this for quite some time, so I'm comfortable in what I do and I'm known, which means that people do trust my advice. So if I see somebody, a friend's family, or just strangers, or people on my courses, I might just tell them to do this or do that, or I might give them some herb. Somebody who is scatterbrained all over the place, I tell them, yeah, today we have this, and tomorrow we are here as well. So I'll bring you that herb tomorrow, and you can chew it and see how you feel. I mean, it's it's yeah, and they usually help, which is nice. And then people, yeah, and I get clients.
Yeah, but sometimes this is really what it takes for people to believe, and I believe,
Yeah,
because it's not about belief really, but it takes always like one experience where the herbs really have made a difference for people to see that herbs are actually working and that it's real and that it's not some kind of hoax or a hocus pocus, that it's real. And yeah, it I think it's also a little bit of pity because sometimes people wait way too long to use herbs. So they say like, I've used all these things that my doctor prescribed me, nothing worked, and now I'm open to be using herbs. So what can you advise me? And then I think, you could have tried the herbs first, in non-urgent situations, of course, but you could have had less side effects and less by starting to use the herbs first and not as some last resort to,
Yeah,
yeah.
but people don't know that there's herbalists, so they start to look for them after they've tried everything else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just part of being human, I think, part
Yeah.
of being.
Yeah.
So you try everything the doctors say, and then it doesn't work, and then you try to find a herbalist, and then
Yeah.
you try the alternative approach, which might
Mm-hmm.
work. About people who don't believe in that herbs work, I love to tell them to eat a bag of prunes when they have a cough. It's the best cough medicine ever. For those who don't get it, it's if you eat a bag of prunes, you will get the runs. So if
You
you have
will
a cough,
know. You will know.
you can't cough because you will have things in your pants that don't belong there. I mean, that proves to them that herbs work. And if they say they won't do it, then they know that herbs work from the start. So it's a win-win for me.
Yes, and it's crazy because we all know that coffee works and that cannabis works and that nobody
Yeah,
doubts that, right?
I
So
know.
yeah, yeah. So what I like about your style is like you just said with a bag of prunes, it's like your no nonsense approach. So like most herbalists well known about the constituents of comfrey being water soluble, but then they also see that the comfrey oils ourselves also work and really work, not just as a placebo, but that they work. And then in this Facebook group, I loved how you stated, well, I guess the plant hasn't read the books that say that comfrey shouldn't work in a herbal oil herself. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
that.
If it hasn't read the book, it doesn't know it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the way it is. Have to teach the herbs to read books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's one of the things I've learned from you is that we have to talk about St. John's wort. So
Okay.
when I graduated herbal school in 2002, which seems like a lifetime ago now, and at that time it was hammered into us that we always had to mention how this plant interacts with birth control pills. But then I learned from you, as it turns out, that this is quite different. You did a Facebook post about this, that St. John's wort and herbal control pills, it's not what we have always taught it to be.
Yeah, it was interesting. In 1995, there was a program in America called 2020, where they told people that St. John's wort works for depression, and it disappeared from the shelves. Uh, Everybody just bought it. And then 1996, same thing. And 1997, the pharmaceutical giants started to look at each other. So what do we do? How do we discredit this herb? It's starting to eat into our antidepressant profits. And then there was big headlines that two women in Sweden had taken St. John's wort and the pill and gotten pregnant. And as long as they don't tell the rest of the story, how many women in Sweden had taken the pill without St. John's wort and gotten pregnant in 1997, as long as they only tell one side of the story and not the other, I look at it as pure propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've since learned that about 10%, 5%, a large amount anyway, of women on the pill do get pregnant despite taking the pill. And this is because if you miss a pill, you don't have protection that month. And if you have diarrhea, you don't have protection that month. And then it says on the pill box 99.9% effective. So every 200ths, every 100, I'm quite sure, is anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so
But it has nothing to
99.5%.
do with St. John's wort. Yeah.
No. But then some people from America, from the US, commented on that and said, yes, you are probably right, but I wouldn't risk it in this climate of no abortion available to a lot of American states.
Mm-hmm.
So if you live in a place where you do not have access to abortion at all, then I expect that you shouldn't take St. John wort and the pill just to be on the safe side. But generally, it's a non-thing. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work that way. And the pill is formulated for madams with really fast metabolism. So yeah, if you're unlucky, but I don't think it has anything to do with St. John.
It makes me wonder about any other herbs that we have substantial misconceptions about.
Like some people tell me that mallow is toxic. In Finland, there is this myth. And I said, what?
Huh?
Yeah, it's not. It's totally benign. And yeah, it's like, what? And then in England, you're not allowed to use whole slippery elm bark
Oh,
because whole slippery elm bark bits have been used as mechanical devices to induce an abortion. So the whole thing is forbidden.
whoa,
I mean, yeah, coat hanger sort of thing. Really. But
whoa.
the powder is allowed.
I'm quite speechless now.
Yeah, there's these interesting things. Yeah, I don't remember, but every now and then I have my distance students send me in herb sheets that they have filled out basic information and what they tried and what worked or didn't work. And there's one point called cautions, and they do put some outlandish things on there. Yeah, one was that nettle would induce abortion. That was on one or the other internet forum. And I said, what? Nobody else ever says that. And do you have references? And they had a website which had a link to a study. And I looked up the study, and the study referred to another study. And the other study said that nettle is among the plants you use to give minerals to people who are pregnant. And in another sentence in that paper, they said, and these might induce abortion, but nettles was not on that list. So, I mean, but debunking this kind of thing, I mean, it takes time and you can't stamp it out because it's somewhere on some website anyway. It's like, what? But if you see something really outlandish, just go to the bottom of it, ask for references,
Mhm.
and then try to debunk it because it needs debunking.
Yes, yes, because yeah, herbalism is of course about the plants and about the people, but I think especially in these times, it's also a little bit about activism, about like
Mhm.
debunking myths that are just based on nothing.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, trying to make nettle. Yeah, no. Nettle is very, very good for pregnant ladies.
yeah. Crazy. So, how do you see the future of herbalism in Finland?
Oh, I think it's quite rosy. I hope more and more people seeing clients. I hope more and more people doing herbs for medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in After the Second World War, only rich people had access to medications. So the poor people used herbs, and that means that it fell out of fashion.
Mm-hmm.
People can
Mm-hmm.
fix it, but we have had a revival since 1970 about. So it's coming back, which is
Yeah.
quite nice, and growing, which is
Yes.
quite nice.
Yes, I think it's the same here, or pretty much the same here in Belgium. When I was graduating from herbalist school, yeah, we had a class of 12 people, and I think about three of them graduated. And yes, now the first year they have more than 65 people, and that's just in one
Perfect.
local school. So it's yeah, it's really
Perfect.
growing, and that's a good thing, I think. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The more
So,
the merrier.
yes, exactly. And what would your advice be to beginning herbalists, as a really experienced herbalist with years and years of experience with plants, with people? What would your advice be?
Trust your instincts. Be yourself. Yeah, be yourself, and laugh at things. You have to. You have to have fun doing what you do.
That is some very solid advice, I think. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and also I have a text called "Wisdom for Beginners." I think on my blog. I think you can put the link if you want, and
Yes, of course.
it says that it's a lonely profession, and you don't know the outcome a lot of times, and you just have to think that they got all better when they don't call you after a month or two, when they got all better. I mean, a lot of my clients come this today and then in 2-3 months and then in 2-3 months, and a lot of my clients come now and then never again. But I might get calls, or I might get emails. Oh, that worked so well. So I just think they all think that, they just don't say it, because it's you can't just think that they didn't get better.
Yes, then it's a whole different story.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but not all do get better. Of course, it's
Yeah,
a
that's the
fact of life.
reality. Yeah. So where can people find out more about your work, like your website? Where can they find your website?
My website is Henriettes Herbal, and it's henriettes-herb.com, and it's very, very big. So
It's very
click on
big.
the front page. Looks small, but when you dive into it, it's quite enormous. And it's divided. You can look for plants by Latin name, or you can look for pictures by, that's also alphabetically by Latin name. And then there's the old books, and there's all kind of things. Big, big site.
Okay, listener, if you want to visit Henriette's site, I think you should be aware that you need some time for this. It's like a rabbit hole. There is so much good information on it. So, yeah, you just need a bit of time, plan ahead and plan a bit of time just to dive into it and yes, explore everything that's on her website. It's really, really great website. Okay, thank you so much, Henriette, for this lovely talk.
Thank you for
It's
having
been a
me.
pleasure. Yes, it's
It
really
has
been a pleasure. And for the listener, I want to thank you for listening. I hope to meet you for the next episode. And meanwhile, keep powdering your nose with dandelion pollen. Bye bye.
That's a good one.
A warm thank you for listening, Wildy. Are you feeling a wild itch after this episode? Well, just head over to wildplantforager.com and feel free to connect with me on social media. I'm looking forward to the next episode. I hope you'll be there. But for now, just go outside and follow your wild heart.